You better do your. All he did his best buttering up uh, on behalf of ours too. Uh, so I went and grabbed something and threw it on. I was walking. Somebody was at the door and the phone starts. Anyway, forget all that. I have 35 minutes to talk about. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him. And hmm, uh, so this business, I was at a meeting. Um, at a meeting, I was about 9 months sober. And the meeting, there was a topic, and the topic was the 11th step. I was at the old Crenshaw Lotto Club, still remember it, sitting upstairs. Topic was the 11th step. I, of course, was probably hadn't even formally done a third step. Uh, that's parenthetically. I said I hadn't formally done a third step. Sometimes I think we get caught up the with the ritual, because I was a young guy that had dove all the way in. And looking back, uh, I hadn't had as firm an understanding and grasp of the book like I do now, but I had conceded to my innermost self, ass whooped, had done the first step. Uh, had sat down long enough with you guys and had gone to enough meetings that you had ushered me into a second step unbeknownst to me. I found myself when people were saying, that this God had done for them, I found myself not in a, because I'm a fitter in kind of guy sometimes, but I found myself because the nature of the way I get down was so severe, I knew I hadn't brought this new guy about. I knew I hadn't. I knew I hadn't. And when old timers and when people get up at the podium and they would share the God had done, I didn't know it in the way that I think I do now, but I suspect that there was a power at work in my life. And looking back, turns out I had given myself over to you guys completely without even thinking about it. So, anyway, that's a sidebar. Back to the story. I'm at the Crenshaw Lotto Club, and the topic was the 11th step. I'm, of course, nowhere close to the 11th step. I hadn't done inventory, but I keyed in on one word, sought through prayer. Forget the meditation part. And I remember raising my hand at that meet and going up to deliver quite the rousing talk on the 11th step with my 8 months. I said nuggets like, you don't have to do the steps in order. I'm already doing an 11 step. I get on my knees and pray every night. So you could do some of the steps when they come up. And yeah, I've been doing, you had totally missed the intent of the 11th step, which is to improve my conscious contact, keyed in on that word prayer. Why did the young guy get up and holler like that? Because I was excited, because I picked out a keyword, because I never let knowledge of a subject get in the way of talking about it. I don't have to know about it to talk about it. That ain't never gotten my way, and if you don't know, get loud. That's what you really do, and do it with gusto. But they didn't kick me out. Nobody cross talked after the end when I got sat down. Nobody said, dude, did you really read that? Do you know what you? They really didn't even look at me crazy. Old timers did what we probably still do, which is kind of nodded. And what they knew was they had seen I was coming to Crenshaw Lano every day. I was sitting up there with my boy Strange, me and Ronnie. We were youngsters showing up, youngsters in sobriety. And what they knew was he's on fire. Don't put him out. Don't put him out. He'll evolve. He'll grow. That'll change. Don't trip. One of the things that I am really big on because I'm a guy that's been doing this a long time. I'm not big on correcting. I'd rather love you than correct you. Put that in your utility belt. Be big on loving. Do less correcting. I'm doing that right now. Shut up, Ralph. I'm not here to be a soapboxing, but that's one of the things that has happened for me. So this step, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood it. So I'm not going to talk as much. And I love, this meeting. You guys have had some wonderful people who have come through, and there have been things I've incorporated in my day to day. People have talked about their spiritual practice, and so sometimes, we get caught up in that. I'm going to talk about the intent and the results and benefits. So what's the intent when we talk about that 11th step? Sought through prayer and meditation. That's the methodology. Prayer and meditation. That's what I'm using. What am I using them for? Improve my conscious contact. Improve it. That means first I have to get it. There's a certain part we talk about in the book, I'm going to grasp and develop a manner of living, not a manner of teaching, not a manner of knowing. I'm going to grasp, I'm going to grab and develop this manner of living. That now you got a guy that was 33 years old, that was really ragged when I came. I had a 2.5-year-old daughter, and I had a condition. So this improved this conscious contact. Turns out I've had a contact with this power all my life. My opinion, the way I live my life. You know, it has been, I've not been consciously aware. In fact, much of my life, I made sure I didn't listen to that, whatever you want to call it. The good one on this shoulder, the bad one, I made sure. I'm not trying. Religion is opiate of the people. I rather spoke mine. Thank you very much. I'm not trying to do that. I'm a young brother in the 60s. Y'all putting this God thing on us to hold us down and to hold us back. And, that's the era I come from. Yeah, granddaddy and grandmama, y'all came from Los Angeles. You came from the deep South. You don't know the King's English like I do. Granddaddy, you really blue collar. Y'all look good sitting in the front row of the church with somebody telling you how to live your life. We the new breed, we the youngsters. I'm going to make a mark in this world. I'm not going to be held back and held down. So miss me with all that. I'm the skeptic, I'm the scoffer, I'm the cynic. You gave me another name, you call me agnostic. And I came in here and I did the negative second step. I had come to believe in the hopelessness and futility. Come to believe, that sounds familiar. That's our second step, right? I had done the negative second step. I had come to believe in the hopelessness and futility of life as I had been. I had come to believe that when you see me later on tonight, you'll see Ralph doing the aimless walk. And I'm not an aimless walker. I'm a guy that walks with purpose and conviction. First kid off my block to go to college. I'm an achiever. I'm a make it happen guy. I did some work and dabbled in politics. I worked in management in a major utility company. I was a corporate guy. I'm a smart guy. But I'm that guy. I got that thing, and I'm in the life. And even in the life, I thought I was the kind of guy. I am the guy that when I see you at the club, I'm sending out a drink. I'm the send the drink guy. I'm that guy. I'm rolling like that. I'm with a crew. We dressed over here and we in the club and we picking them up. And that's how I get down till I know. I'm the double life guy. And then I come in really, really, really toe up in 1986. October the 11th of 1986, I came in out of the cold. And this spiritual condition you guys invited me to, you said, Ralph, when you get that, when you drink, can you control them? No, I never thought I wanted to. That was never on the table, controlling. I'm controlled by my pocket. That's what controls me, my dollars, and so, but turns out Ralph, don't look at the times that you set out to get loaded. What about the times when your baby was going to be born and you wanted to get to the hospital because you definitely wanted to be there when Rain was born, but you and Ronnie took one because you had enough time, had to get there in about an hour. Oh, we got some time, couldn't make it. Because when I take one, I can't control the amount that I take. What about when you got to make it to granddaddy's funeral? Okay, his granddaddy's funeral is at 10 o'clock in the morning. You would think that's very early. I take one. I miss granddaddy's funeral. So I looked at the times when I wasn't setting up. So it turns out I can't control it. And then it turns out I can't not start it when I don't want to start it. Bam. So now it propels me into this. If that's the case, Ralph, you're suffering from an illness, only a spiritual experience. I don't believe that. Okay, you ain't a believer, then you keep wrestling with the gorilla. So the gorilla finally got in that ass enough, and I came up in here and you guys slow walked me into the second step and I became a believer. Okay, I need this to be because a whole lot of y'all said the gorilla did it to me and I found a power that's bigger than the gorilla. What? I'm interested. I'm not stupid. I would like that. When the second step, when it says either God is everything or he is nothing, I want to invite you to do an experiment if you're new and you're on the fence about that. Okay, look at it like this. I cannot, on myself, I cannot prove there's a God. Okay, I can't prove there's a God. I also cannot prove there ain't one. I ain't really interested. Some of you atheists that's down with it. You can prove. I don't know. I can't prove there ain't one. What's my vested interest in this? I'm toe up, 33, no place to stay, no ID, ain't been to work in years, won't look at myself full face in the mirror, sucked up, all that. And you guys have this proposition. Well, we getting down with the God thing over here. How are the people getting down with the God thing looking? They laughing, they dress. First is surface stuff. Y'all get down, I know this the 11th step meeting. So y'all talk about this peace of mind and I'm doing this. Well, when I'm brand ass new, you know what it is? They clean. They smell good. They walk with their head upright. They give me rides from the meeting. They get to the podium and they talk about their kids. I bet they celebrate Christmas. They look good. They have cars. They go home to their own place. New friends. So that's the God thing. And these are the God talking people. Okay, I got this over here. You can still do the no God thing, which is what you coming in here on. And you can stand on that business if you want to. 10 toes down. You can stand on that. Or you can stand with these. Okay, do the experiment. I'm not stupid. I'm going to take the experiment. What is my choice to be? So when they say that in the second step, that's a funny sounding statement when it says God is everything. What is my choice? How is it my choice? If God is God, that is the deal. Ralph, you sitting here, you like to stand on business. I know all this. No, no, no. I'm going to choose God because I like what they look like. I like what they look like. So now we get into this point of where we're talking about improve my conscious contact, but I ain't got conscious contact with him. First I got to get a spiritual condition. I ain't got, see, everything's got a condition. People might be thinking in the 10th step, which precedes the 11th step, it talks about staying in fit. And this is how we react as long as we stay in fit spiritual condition. So I need to get in fit, but first I got to, so there must be an unfit spiritual condition, right? It's not like there is no condition. Everything has a condition. I'm a real estate agent. And so when you sell a house, I talked about this now to me. Sometimes if I'm selling a house and you can move right in, I was looking for somewhere to stay not that long ago. If you can move right in, Michelle, we call that turnkey condition. Walk right in, ready to move in right now. Sometimes I'll sell a house and we call it as is. You come in, you get it like I'm leaving it to you. It's livable, it's habitable. You're gonna probably have to do some stuff to bring it up to your standard. That's as is condition. Then sometimes they'll give it a code word and they'll call it TLC, needs a little tender loving care. Get ready to spend some money on that one, you know. Fixer upper. You're ready to spend a lot of money on that one. A lot of y'all do that in relationships. Oh, he'll fix up. I can work with him. She'll fix up. Be ready. Buyer beware when it's fixer upper. And then you get one like me. I'm uninhabitable. I'm a tear down. That's why when we go to the third step, we say roots, grass, new soil. Don't try to put hardwood floors up in me. Don't slap no paint up on me. No, 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 no. From scratch. I'm uninhabitable. And the good news, if you're feeling like that and you knew, won't nobody come up in here. I'm toe up. I don't have no windows. I don't have no doors. If you step wrong, your feet are going to sink through. I have no foundation. I'm toe up. But I tell you something about grace. It ain't scared. God will come up in the tear downs. That's us, the uninhabitable places. And he creeped up in there. I was broke down enough that grace came up in through the broken places and did something with your boy. Now, that was not conscious contact, but that's the beginning, our third step. That's the beginning of this contact. On our page 52, a lot of times I used to call that a description of unmanageability. I've revised that thinking for myself. I think it's the result of unmanageability. I don't think it's a description of unmanageability. More to the point, on page 52, for those of you who probably are familiar with it, the bedevilments, I can't control my emotional nature. I'm a prey to misery and depression. I can't seem to be a real value. I can't keep a relate. All those things right there. I think that's a description of my spiritual condition, absent this power. That was the spiritual condition. And I went in and I embarked on getting a conscious relationship with a power. How did I start that? I got on my knees and I said, I'm coming to you on these people's references. People like Calvin speak very highly of you, sir. People like Ali, they talk very highly about you. People like Dale, they've said some things about you that have made me interested. And I'm on my knees on their references. If you want your recovery to pop, if you want it to come up in color, in the third step, it talks about at the bottom, the wording was entirely optional. Take that to heart. In the fourth step, when we read it, it says, we were usually as definite as this example. At first, especially when you knew, especially when you're embarking on this. Do it, just do it. Keep doing it the ritualistic way. Do it. Get the routine. Get it down. Get it down. Get it down. There's value in the repetition. There's value in that. There's value in learning the cha-cha, 1, 2, cha-cha-cha, back to. But when you're 70 and you've been cha-chaing since you're 13, you don't look down and do that. You spin and you twirl and you get away from your partner and you make it yours. Your third step, when you make it yours. The wording was entirely optional. I used to say, God, I offer myself to thee. Now I might say, okay, God, here I am. You know me. I don't know you, but I'd like to get to know you. Them people speak highly of you, and I'm here on their references. I would like, sir, if it ain't too much to ask while I'm down here, I'd like to start celebrating Christmas again. I'd like to be there for them kids' birthdays again. If it ain't too much to ask while I'm down here, I like if you still handing out that self-respect that I see some of the brothers walk around with. I see Scott walk around with it. I see Kristen walk around. I like if you still handing that out, send something to your boy. I would really like that. And when, not if, It talks about, overcome, take away my difficulties. A lot of times I used to think that was my circumstance and my situation, and it is. But much of the time it's me, usually back in 6 and 7, my defects cropping up. And then the consequences of the defects take away my difficulty. When stuff go down the pipe, not because they're uncomfortable, though they are uncomfortable, not because I want to get to the other, though I do want to get to the other side of them. But when this happens for me, I promise I'll tell them it was you. I've been in a number of valleys in recovery. I've been led out of the lion's den. The stuff I used to talk about, the church people said, Daniel and the lion's den, and pardon I've had Red Seas parted for me. I've not seen my way to the other side of several situations, and God made a way. I didn't know how it was going to happen. The lions have circled many times. I call them predators. I call them people coming looking for their stuff. I call it situations I didn't see no way out of. And he walked your boy out of the lion's den a number of times. And I'm here to tell you it was him. Take away my difference. So when you talk to the people, I promise I'll tell them. And in the telling, I'm forging this relationship, you guys. In the talking, I'm forging this relationship, and I'm forging this confidence. When the doctor, in the doctor's opinion, talked about he saw a man brimming with self-confidence, what he didn't realize, because it was the doctor looking at a delivered person, so he didn't know. What he sees is a guy brimming with God confidence, with the absolute certainty that when the sharks circle, that there's going to be a way. I don't know how, but he going to do what he do. Because I got 100% survival rate, put my hand in his hand. Wow, imagine that. Proof is in the pudding. As my friend Carla Rao says, that's Alcoholics Anonymous speaking for itself. So I started doing the fourth and fifth step. I started uncovering and discovering this stuff, you guys. And on the back end of the uncover, discover, on the back end of doing that inventory process and looking at my sex conduct and looking at my fears, turns out I tell myself scary stories and I get scared, right? Um, and so on the back end of that kind of stuff, I'm strengthening his relationship with this power. Check out 6 and 7, you guys. A lot of times people are thinking, what this got to do with everything? Everything. Talking about relationships. So if we're going to talk about improving my conscious contact, we got to talk about getting the conscious contact, right? Everything. Steps are integrated. They're not standalone little things. They are a way I live my life. Well, live my life. Numbers drop off for a guy like me. Don't let them drop too soon. And so you guys are hearing Ralph talking. Let me sidebar something. Yeah, I really shouldn't say it, but I'm gonna let y'all in on it. Come behind the curtain. Sometime I don't say it because it ain't correct to say, and it ain't cool to say, and Ali, this ain't for you yet, and the rest of this. You know what? I don't really like um, talking that much about the how-tos of the steps and the rest of that. I really don't. If you see me on Sunday morning, you'll see me going through the book with some people. But I am so excited for our new friends to see what a transformed life looks like, to see why seek this, why do it. It's cats, and I love it. Ali, cats like that that's on fire, been around long enough now, but ain't too long. And they do a lot better job of talking about the how-tos now. They're a lot more on fire with that now. I remember when I had, and I like to listen. I like to be here when you guys break it down like that. It don't hold a lot of interest for me no more. I don't mean to say it like that. What holds a lot of interest for me, you guys, is, well, Ralph, what does the results of continuing to do self-examination look like? You know, what, why should I do that? What does it look like when you get scared? What do you bring to the table? What does it look like when you've been to the well that many times and then you get grateful for the fact that your feet have been put to the fire so much that when the fire comes, you ain't scared. And now you don't look like, now everything don't look like fire. Oh, that's embers. That ain't no goddamn bonfire. Everything used to look like a wildfire. You know what I'm saying? Everything, it ain't that serious, dude. So when we get to 6 and 7, sometimes, and people give a lot of talks on, and God gonna not gonna do. Here's the thing with 6 and 7, you guys. It's powerful. It is one of the most powerful aspects of our program. When Bill Wilson, and don't get stuck in, no, Bill said in one of his writings, his biggest fear is that we would get frozen, the rigidity of the program. What would make you think that something that a guy put down in 1937? I heard a guy do something a little earlier today, and he was talking, and he referred back to the original manuscript. And sometimes, and I get it, especially when you're new to this. And you get excited. Oh, that was the original manuscript. And people refer back to it as if it was better than the finished product. I'm a writer. I'm a writer. And when I write, I would implore you to go with my finished product. When I have original manuscripts that I throw away, I hopefully have improved on it, right? And so I get it when people say, and so he was saying the original manuscript said, if you ain't count, if I throw the book away at this point, I get the intent of that and the thought of it. But Bill landed on the spot. That ain't the suggestion I'm gonna give Ralph White. Hey, he ain't got enough money to keep going and getting new books. Keep that goddamn book. When you're ready, it'll be there. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, evolutionary. There are things in Bill's writing, I think, because I believe the book was divinely inspired, that even went beyond what he was able to see at the time. Thus the 12 and 12 a little bit later on. But really, what ends up happening, you guys, is uh, because I believe it was God inspired, and I believe that everybody has their own experience with this. Check out 6 and 7. In the seventh step, it talks about, okay, God, here I am, your boy. Same guy that showed up in the third step, toe up, right? Tear down. Now here I am, some floors, some more work. Now here I am with a little more knowledge. I didn't even know I was a tear down at the time. Now I'm really clear. I've done inventory and I found out, dude, your shit was really ragged. You were coming around here speaking that other language. Now, many of you guys are fluent in several languages. All of us have another language that we had. And the fourth step is it's like Babel for that. It's the interpreter. All of us coming here speaking Victimese, right? And the fourth step, is like the Babel for that. It flushes that out. And because we got that other language that all of us speak. It was you, if you wouldn't, so we speak the victim, and it flushes it out. And so then I get to 6 and 7, and I say, okay, God, I came to you in the third step one way. Here I am again. Take me, good and bad. And I know what that means. I know the implications of good and bad. I know I've been ugly. I know I've hurt people. I know I've been more to the point because I'm not a dangerous guy. And so I over dramatize my shit. I've been petty. I've been petty. I've been trifling. I would like to make it like no, I've heard people because of just how relentless uh, uh, this disease is, and this disease was personified by me. And there's a relentlessness to this. There's an everyday wearing away at people's trust and people's peace of mind and people just that and that's me. So I've seen it. In the seventh step, it says, okay, my creator, I'm willing you have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character. So when I come to God in the seventh step, guess what? I'm an example of a guy that does a lot of talking to God because I'm a falling down guy. I'm a knee scraping guy. I'm a face planting guy. If I were a guy that didn't have a lot of defects, if I were a guy who didn't, and so there are people, I call it, even I'm not a monastic sober guy. There are people who I call them monastic in the program, and that's want to be enlightened, want to withdraw. Monks withdraw from this life of ours, and they contemplate and they just think on God and the rest of that. You guys give me a lot of play, and you say, Ralph, you seem so spiritual, but I don't withdraw, and I get dirty. Because you guys, I play in the dirt. And, I'm a ball player, and when I played ball, I remember Little League, and I had my uni. I couldn't wait for my uni to be new the first day. But after the first day, I don't want to come home. I never wanted to come home in a clean uni. Sometimes I would slide. If I was over for, I'd slide. Because if you come home with a clean uni, you probably didn't get in the game, Cal. I'm in the game. I'm in the goddamn game. I want my uni dirty, and even though I'm surrounded by angels up in these places, you guys hear me say it often, I like my angels with dirty faces. And that's us. That's us. And so the seventh step is how I continue to grow this relationship with this power. Isn't it wonderful that we have a power that is so, if you're worried about, but Ralph, finding this power seems so out there for a person like me. It seems so hard for a person like me. I'm in Atlanta right now. I'll go home Thursday, and I have my grandsons just sent me, both of them, their football schedules. One of them is 10 and one of them is 5, and they both play football, and they send me their schedules. When I go home, they're going to come over to the house, and I can tell you, when I walk in the door, Artist, who's the older one, and Arrow, who's the young, they're gonna barrel at granddaddy. They're gonna barrel at him. And then they're gonna come grab me around my legs, right? And I'm gonna be standing there. And they think they're glad to see granddad. Oh, but I can't wait to see them. And they don't have to worry. And sometimes metaphorically, I don't think I'm this but there is nothing that makes my heart swell more than my boys running up to me. And if you're new, and if you're wondering about this conscious contact with this power, and if you think it's difficult, God don't make hard terms. Why? He's thirsty for me. God is thirsty for me. I think his heart bursts when he sees me running. I think his heart swells when he sees me coming to him. You ain't got to be perfect. You ain't got to be right. You ain't got to be none of what I think in human terms. Eileen, when you see your baby, you don't, they think they're glad to see daddy. Oh, they don't even know. They don't even, and it ain't nothing. I used to say grace is an unmerited gift. I don't say that anymore. I don't think grace is a gift. How many of us are breathing right now? All of us are breathing right now, right? How many of us are saying, this oxygen is a gift? Nobody. It's what I live with. Same with grace. Same with grace. They had a story, Chuck C says, about the two fish swimming, and one fish says, wow, ain't the water grand? And the other fish says, what's water? And it's like the sponsee looking at the sponsor, and the sponsor says, man, ain't this graceful? And the sponsee says, what's grace? Just when I think I'm drowning in my troubles, I'm swimming in grace. That's all there is, you guys. That's it. It's my birthright. It come with the territory. It come with being one of his kids. It comes with it. and I ain't got to do nothing to grow. I heard this guy talking about making a bigger God. I don't need to grow God. You guys hear me all the time. I just need to shrink out. God don't need to get no other proportions. He's too big for me to ever. This God the mystery. I just need to shrink me. That's all I'm in. So I think I done went over this 45 minutes. Man, they just grabbed me out of, I didn't really get to just be honing in, but you get what you get. And you guys, thank you for giving me the opportunity one more time to improve my conscious contact with this power that I've been introduced to. My name is Ralph White. I'm an alcoholic.
Here.
Hey, Coach Michael, definitely an alcoholic. Thank you, Mr. White, and Teresa for directing me to this meeting 4 years ago. I just wanted to say to Mr. White, I grow up with people like you in my life. As no offense, ladies, but as a man, we kind of need men to look up to. And I'm trying to get sober, and I'm staying sober. And he was that guy that I said, this is like dad, sobriety shit. But my question to you, Mr. White, is, and I love sports analogies. I love the way you described you want to get your uniform nice and dirty. Can you expound on that a little more?
Well, I'm not a guy. I don't. The best way to talk about that. Thank you, Coach. Spiritual life is not a theory. I'm not a theory guy. I'm not a teaching guy. I'm a. One of the things, you guys, that we have um, more than we have anything else. Everybody on here that sponsors. The biggest thing I have in my sponsorship arsenal is my experience, not my knowledge, not information, my experience. And I've had enough sober experiences, and sometimes, and that's the only thing. Having experience is fine. Getting experience hurts sometimes. Somebody in here is just getting experience. And so when I'm in those places where I'm getting experience, that's not a place where I'm looking forward to it. It's not the experience of, oh shit, I got some unexpected money, or oh, I got a ticket somewhere and I'm going on. No, the kind of experiences that make us useful are the kind that are the ones that, forge us and fire. IRS is coming up after me. Heartbreak found me in my front door, escorted me off the premises somewhere. You know, sometimes it's just life. Got a diagnosis, family member got a diagnosis. All those things, and we get the opportunity to have God convert that. I mean, what we think of as some of the most tragic times in our life, it gets converted, to gold, spun gold in God's hand. And that's the dirty uniform. That's getting down and I'm not one of those guys. I'm thank God, God does that, because in and of myself, it ain't like I'm looking for him. Sometimes I'm still the guy to make decisions based on self. I'm still that guy. Sometimes I'm still stepping on toes and getting the results of that. And sometimes I'm just a part of what we call life. And it ain't personal. It just is. And I get to be a light. And that's what all of us get to be. We get to be a light, you know. And so that's the uniform dirty. I'm in life. I ain't about talking about it. I'm in it.
Thank you. Becca, come on in.
Hi, thank you. My name is Becca. I'm an alcoholic. Girl, thank you so much for that. Excuse me. Kind of going with the same thing. And it actually helps me narrow down my question. I'm experiencing a whole lot right now. And I've been told for as long as I can remember in these rooms to show myself some grace. And the last thing that you were talking about were just swimming in grace. I've got all these problems around me, but I'm swimming in grace. And I'm trying to feel that. And I'm trying to remember to show myself some grace, but then I'm hearing, this is a program of action, and what action can I take? And I don't know what to do. And I keep praying and praying and praying. I don't know what to do. So how do I show myself some grace?
Thank you, Becca.
Well, Becca, I don't know if that's what you're interested in doing. That's number one. So I'm giving myself the answer, and maybe that ain't it. So Becca, me and you for just a minute, I'm gonna talk to you. Uh, so unmute. Uh, you can unmute yourself, Becca. Me and you for a minute. So you said you facing some problems right now, or some fears, right?
Thanks.
Oh,
Yeah, I have some life situations I'm
some
dealing
life
with.
situations. Okay. Have you had life situations before?
Yes.
Are you here?
Yes.
Have you ever been scared about what you're scared about right now before?
Yes.
Are you here?
Yes.
Has anything that you've ever been scared about ever actually occurred? Probably,
Yes.
yes. Did you survive?
Yes.
At the time when before you thought that you would survive it, did it feel like I can't get through this?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get through it?
Yes.
I tell myself scary stories and I get scared. How long you been sober?
19 months.
19 months. I'm here to tell you, Becky, and this is the reason why we do this thing together. You've been sober 19 months. You stand on business. You stand on 19 months. Where are you today? What's today's date? Today's date is
September
9
5th.
3, right? You being 9 3. Where are your feet? Look down. That's where you are. You where your feet are. I live in my head. I don't live in my life. In my life, it is about 8:53 on September the 3rd. In my head, it is who knows where. Live in my life, not in my head. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number two, have I been here before? Everything I feared before I've experienced. The only reason this fear is so overwhelming is because it's current. Because it's current. God didn't save me from that cesspool and let me drown in the bathtub. Now you are it converting what you learn to what you live. What you learn is either God is what?
Everything. Nothing.
What you're going to live is that. Come off the page, get in your life. I don't even know how this gonna go on, God, with this crazy ass guy talking to me, but I'm gonna stand on your business. You everything. Get out of here. Report back to us.
Thank you, Ralph. Okay, we've got 6 minutes and three people, and Ralph don't give no 1 minute answer. So if you don't have a
Sometime
question,
I do.
okay, come on, Calvin.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Calvin and I'm alcohol. I never have a question, so I'm gonna keep it short though. I'm gonna keep it short. Ralph, I want to tell you thank you for a strong message and thank you for your honesty, man. Every time I listen to you, you always get gut rich and honest. And that's why I'm so attracted to you. You really do. And when you asked my question when you was talking to the young lady, when you talk about telling yourself those spooky stories, I remember there's a time I was telling myself all those spooky stories. Now I can see them coming. They don't sit right here no more. They sit out there. I can see them, right? But that touched me. And when you talk about victimized, oh my God, you said so many different things that touched on so many different ways that I'm just grateful I'm here tonight to hear you. There's no mistakes in God's will. You're supposed to have been the speaker. We're supposed to hear you tonight. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Calvin.
sir.
I love you. Sarah, please come in.
Thank you, Alice. I'm Sarah. I'm a recovered alcoholic. Ralph, thank you for your share. The last line I wrote in my notes was, I'm drowning in troubles. This is in grace.
No, no, no. I feel like I'm drowning in trouble, but I'm actually swimming in grace.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And my friend Debbie. Come on in, Debbie.
Thank you, my friend Alice. I'm Debbie. I'm an alcoholic. And oh, Ralph, thank you so very much. I was so touched with your approach with Becca. That just got me choked up. But I'm pretending I know what you meant by this, and I gotta be honest, I don't. So I raised my hand and I'm just gonna ask you this question. You said this, step 7 is how we grow this relationship with God.
Right.
I thought it was 11. Help me.
And it's 3, and it's 4 and 5, and it's 8 and 9. Oh my God. So that thinking, see, I'm in a lifestyle. There is nothing we do that's not growing the relationship with God. What you really meant, you just said it to yourself. What I'm doing in 11 is improving the relation with God. I'm establishing it in the second step. And in the third step, I say, okay, God, I'm on your team. I'm okay. You running this. 4, 5, 6, and 7. Oh my God. I'm getting this conscious contact. I'm removing what's blocking me from the conscious contact. And so now I'm getting the conscious contact, right? And I keep going back to God because I don't work on my defects. I take them to God. I got a lot of defects. So I'm always talking to God. That's the good thing about a guy like me. I got to stay in conversation with God because I got a lot of defect, right? But I'm getting that conscious contact. Oh my goodness. And like you pointed out, in the 11th step, and I'm glad you were like, Ralph, wait a minute. And so we get to do it, but sometimes it's useful to us. All everything everything that we do is about 2 things. One, in the third step, we talk about relieve me of the bondage of self. And so when people say the book only has 2 paragraphs on 6 and 7, whole book is about 6 and 7. Whole book is about God take away these defects. Calls it bondage of self in some places, calls it resentments in some places, selfishness and self-centeredness, all of this, So everything is about relieving me of the bondage of self, and everything is about conscious contact with the power. It's about pointing out what's my big problem and pointing out my overarching solution. Conscious contact with a power, relationship with a power, doing the dance with a power. Hope it clarified it.
Thank you so much, Ralph. Thank you for